Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have a roll call, please.
Mayor Hassler.
Here.
Alderwoman Cleghorn.
Here.
Alderwoman Johnson. Here. Alderman Donovan.
Here.
Alderman Jokers.
Here.
Alderman Eidman.
Here.
Alderman Rainey.
Here.
Alderman Prince.
Here.
Alderwoman Armbruster.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Very good. Move for approval of the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good deal. Thank you. Takes us down to personal appearance. Jimmy Donzie with the St. Genevieve Municipal Band, President, will present their annual report.
Well, I really don't have much to report.
What?
We did have 10 concerts. Some of them we did up at the PAC Center because of the heat and rain. We're going to go back to the $6,500 for the grant program because I believe we used up all the money from the COVID years. And that's about all I've got. Did send an email out to Tanlin. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Tanlin. Last week, she said she was going to call me. She still hasn't, so I'm still waiting for her to call so I can talk to her a little bit. See if she's got anything planned that the German band can fill in or whatever for the Saturdays in St. Genevieve or whatever. Just want to see what she's got going on.
So there's a lot of people that want to talk to her, and we're trying to get everything set up with, and get her understood on what we have in the way of tourism, so as soon as she's got time, she'll get in touch with you.
Okay,
So thanks for reaching out.
well, that's all I have. Question?
Is there any charge for the PAC Center when it's the heat issue?
No, the only thing that we have to make sure is, we're not doing any work for the upcoming school year. I think it's like right around the end of June, beginning of July is when we really can't use it because they're working inside in the theater part itself. But unless they got a play going on, then we can use it.
Yeah, cool.
And then your personnel payment list, those are some 82 individuals roughly. That's a payment that reflects a personal expense that they laid out for that function and a performance fee, or what is?
I'm not understanding the
These
question.
dollar amounts
Oh, that's what they get paid,
for performance.
yes.
Okay.
Paid per performance or?
I think it's $40 if you make the practice and the concert.
Okay. But yeah, that answered it.
Okay.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Anything else? Okay, thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Takes us to our city administrator's report.
I didn't have anything to add. I was out of the office this afternoon, so I didn't have anything else to add to the city administrator's report. So if you have any questions about what I sent earlier, if not, that's it.
I was down in the Welcome Center for the presentation last night at 6 and just commented on, hey, we had some rain yesterday, how was it? And they said it was dry, so that was nice to hear. And they did make a comment about the hum on the lights, but I knew that the lights are still being addressed, correct? Okay.
Any questions? Thank you. Takes us to our staff reports. Chief?
You guys have a copy of my report. The biggest change, we lost another officer. Pete Underfirth resigned his position to take a position in a neighboring jurisdiction. So we wish him the best of luck. So it puts us down 2 now. So other than that, everything pretty much the same. The ambulance district offered us CPR training, got all the guys certified, and they certified all of our AEDs. So. Questions?
How are we advertising the open positions?
We've been advertising Facebook. We have a recruitment flyer out with all of the local police academies.
How many AEDs you got?
3.
Where you got them located? Out here?
We keep them at the office, and the guys can take them out with them when they come on for patrol.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Nothing? All right.
Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, Jason.
Steve's not with us tonight. You all have his report. Is there any questions that Happy might be able to answer?
If you have a report in there.
There's
Yeah,
no report,
there's no
report. What do you got to do with Steve?
You'll have double the fun next.
I was gonna say a lot of first boss.
Ah, okay. Are there any committee reports?
Just park board meeting on Monday if anybody wants to stop by City Hall 6:30. I think, are we going over the bid information for the,
I'm just bringing forth what the state has in the way of those bathroom, the state procurement on the bathrooms, just to give everybody an idea what we're talking about. And then the election of officers.
oh, so if anybody wants to attend, that's on Monday at 6:30 here in City Hall.
Thank you. Public comments?
Bob Browning, 498 Merchant Street. I'd like to start out by thanking the St. Genevieve Herald for printing honest article. Keep up the good work. And as the last time I was here, I was served a frivolous lawsuit by Sue and Carl Kinski, saying that everything I said was a lie and there was no investigation. Well, I can say now, yeah, Carl is under investigation by the state.
That's, Bob,
Wait, no,
Bob,
wait.
excuse me, though.
No.
That's, Carl's not a part of this board.
I don't
So if you're
care.
going
I
to deal
don't
with
care.
Carl, we have to
Public
do...
comment, okay? That he is under investigation. The 6th of this month, Zerba came by my house on camera, violating his probation. That evening, my house was shot at when I was standing by my kitchen window. Okay, and so everything I said at the last Alderman meeting is fact, backed up by police reports, video camera, the threats. So now they're suing me for slander. Well, it's not slander when you're telling the truth. My next point I'd like to make, if I'm wrong, somebody corrects me, that's fine. But down on Main Street, around the leaf disposal road, but on the west side of Market Street, Main Street, excuse me, there's a political sign up on city property. That's not allowed, is it? I don't think so. I know you can't even talk to me, that's fine. But anyways, Sue might have hers by mistake on city property. You might want to look into that. The next point I'd like to make, and this is all due to harassment, and Happy can verify this. Everybody remembers I said that sign was put back in my yard on May 6th, my birthday. I got a letter dated May the 11th from Mr. Bova. I got a call on a cell phone that at that time, I had it for like 2 days. Nobody had that phone number but 2 very close friends of mine and my attorney. Well, I get a call 5 minutes to 5 on a Friday from City Hall. David Bova. He goes, is this a Trump president? He goes, I'd like to speak to Donald Trump about a piece of property I'm inquiring about. And I go, excuse me, I didn't hear you. I put it on speakerphone because there's somebody in my living room. He repeated everything. I go, who is this? He goes, who are you? I go, F you, you called me, buddy. He goes, my name's David. I go, yeah, David Bova. Monday morning, I called Happy. Happy walked over to my house. I said I didn't want to talk at City Hall. I talked to Happy. Bova sends me a letter of apology saying he inadvertently dialed my number. Nobody had it but my attorney. My attorney went to the courthouse to do some legal document, had my phone number on a sticky note. He said, who works at the courthouse? And so I get a letter from him. This harassment started years ago. And you can keep up your frivolous lawsuits, and I'll keep up saying the truth. Because, you know, you can kill me, but this won't stop. I mean, that bullet, that my tire, it would hit me. So I just want to let the public know what's going on. And I didn't lie. Everything I stated has been documented, caught on camera, and state police task force been investigating Carl months and months and months ago. And now there's a new case they're checking into. And if Carl would like to talk to the task force, I'm sure they would love to talk to him. You all have a good evening.
Thank you, Bob. Are there any other public comments? There was no other public comments. At 6:10, we'll have a public hearing. The mayor and the board of the city of St. Genevieve, Missouri will hold a public hearing to consider amendments to Chapter 405 zoning regulations of the city of St. Genevieve Municipal Code regarding home occupations per newly adopted Missouri state statutes, marijuana-related uses per Missouri Constitution Amendment 3, and tiny home zoning.
We've got 3 ordinances for a public hearing. The first is a home-based business ordinance. The past year, the legislature adopted 2 new statutes, 71.990 and 89.500 regarding home occupations. These ordinance changes, additions, and deletions reflect the required changes and codify the definitions and conditions allowed now by state statute. They were discussed with the board in an earlier work session, passed by Planning and Zoning 503 on February 2nd. Public hearing was posted in the Herald week of February 7th, and I've received no comments. If you have any questions, please let me know. Tiny homes ordinance. At previous aldermanic meetings and workshops, we've had discussion on how to encourage and allow more residential construction in town. One item we discussed was tiny homes. Staff looked at several options and proposed this ordinance, which creates an overlay zone that allows tiny home subdivisions on certain parcels and in certain zones in the city. Discussed with the board at a work session on January 26th, passed Planning and Zoning with a slight change in the definition, but nearly the exact same proposal I brought to you on the 26th, passed on February 2nd, 503. Public hearing was posted in the Herald on February 7th. I received 2 calls for clarification and then 1 unsigned letter that I gave you all a copy of last week. If there's no questions, we'll move on to the last one, marijuana zoning ordinance. This past year, Amendment 3 passed, legalized recreational marijuana use. Thus, our zoning ordinances need to be updated to allow for these changes in the state constitution. This amendment to ordinance puts the new definitions and new uses into existing zoning sections and districts. And section 405.201 is basically amended to change from medical marijuana to marijuana uses. This also was discussed at a previous work session, passed Planning and Zoning on February 2nd, 503. Public hearing was posted in the Herald on the week of February 7th, and I have received no comments. Any questions? Maybe the longest public hearing we've had.
At 6:13, we'll close the public hearing. Thank you, David. Takes us to the consent agenda.
Move approval. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Takes us to old business, the second reading of bill number 4541, an ordinance of the city of St. Genevieve, Missouri, amending the personnel manual as set forth below.
Motion to approve?
Second.
A roll call, please.
Alderwoman Clagghorn.
Yes.
Alderwoman Johnson.
Yes.
Alderman Donovan.
Yes.
Alderman Jokers.
Yes.
Alderman Eidman.
Yes.
Alderman Rainey.
Yes.
Alderman Prince.
Yes.
Alderwoman Armbruster.
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no's. Bill number 4541 now becomes ordinance 4463.
Thank you. Takes us to new business, and the approval of the low bid of Jokers Incorporated in the amount of $278,614.92 for the 2023 street asphalt overlay projects.
Paul, I've got a little bit of a question there and stuff. The South 10th Street, where was that on our list as far as priorities?
It was not, by the roads that we've gone through, this was not the highest one, but our street, Steve and I looked at it, thought it was a good spot that we could get them to be able to pour and not have any issues. It was probably in probably number 15 on the list.
And that was basically from Market to the railroad track?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, my only concern there is there's an increased amount of truck traffic there. I'm wondering what long-term effect, you know, that's going to have, because we're not really through the warm part of the summer where we have a lot of that going on and stuff. And I know they're starting to use their upper entrance, but gravel is not allowing trucks to go up it all the time.
Right. It was just, Steve felt that was the next in line. He felt that was important enough in a good spot, and it met our square footage requirements, because we were looking for something to match Jefferson. So the question on that is, if you want to hold off on approval on that, if you want to approve the concrete one, again, as I put in my report, we are over budget in total. We have, over the years though, we've kind of not been able to get things done in the budget year, so we probably have enough in reserves. We could do more than what the budget allows and then bring back a budget amendment in April, when we bring back a number of budget amendments. But that's, you know, you can spend over the $325,000, but just to let you know, we have exceeded our amount, because in my infinite wisdom, I estimated $25,000 on Claymont, and it turned out to be $66,000. So,
Right on the money.
yeah, so that's on me.
Could we simplify that, though? Is the question before us then, is the bigger need on 10th, or is the bigger need on Claymont? Is that what
I think the bigger needs on both, and just over budget. We'll just go over budget with what we need to get done. We're trying to get through as many streets as we can.
We'll have the money, it's just not what we've budgeted
Right.
currently.
Claymont was not on our original street list, correct?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was, and where was it at on the,
I mean, on the list itself, it's probably number 9, but it was concrete, so we had it separated and looked at it separately, but it was one of the major streets that we needed to fix.
right.
And this number here gives us everything that we were expecting. We're not trimming it down to a square.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's
I could. If you want me to, we could do just half of
I
it.
just wanted to clarify that we were getting what we were expecting and not,
Yeah, that square footage checks out,
okay.
within like 2 or 3 square
Curb to
foot.
curb and all that
Curb,
stuff.
curb, and
They
joint
had,
to stop sign.
actually, when we did our pre-bid meeting, they had their own charts and the GIS pictures of that area and had calculated what that is. So it's actually based on what they came up with, which was under what I had thought it was. So, you know, I think it was fairly accurate.
And we're, sorry, Bob.
I had one question, happy about the utilities back there and stuff. I mean, are they under that street, or where are they? Nothing is. What are our sewer?
They're in the yards.
Okay.
Everything.
Yep.
That was my question, is making sure that we're assured that future water line project isn't going to affect the concrete.
Right.
What is our timetable? I know you said that this concrete project they could do shortly. What is our timetable for paving? I mean, do we have a timetable?
I don't have a timetable for all the paving, because I haven't brought the contract yet for Jokers. That'll be at the next meeting. But that usually doesn't get started till after school, and we've been putting it off till September because of delays. You've got one street that you can't do, which is Rozier, because there's a water line going in there. So that'll have to be done first. But if they're willing to mobilize at this price multiple times, they can start in April if they want. Depending upon when the asphalt plants open and are consistently open too.
Just seems like we kind of get pushed back sometimes beyond what we would like to see done and stuff, you know, the fair, the summer, and, you know, whatever else and stuff. But my point being is, if we're not in a hurry to get that paving done, and all of a sudden we see that our revenue is not up to par, we can make another decision then that we could maybe trim something, maybe a 10th Street or something, that if, our tax revenue is not what we projected, there's a major downturn in the economy or whatever, we could adjust at that time. Or does our contract not allow us to do
I
that?
would say once you've approved the roads, we stay with that. Because I want them to be able to plan on what they're gonna do. Because if they do all the streets and include 10th Street, but they don't do Rozier, we put the water line in and we say, well, let's hold off. Now we've left a patch that we want to make sure we get covered up, because that'll be the last one to get done. That's one of the problems that we've had in the past, is we've had all of these water line projects first before we can do the paving. This year, we have the advantage, most of them aren't where water lines are. They're just streets, so we can get them done anytime they feel like mobilizing.
And we build in that contingency when we do our budget for if there is an economic downturn. We reserve about 50% of our budget, so if there is an economic downturn,
I would not even want to get close to using up 50% of our reserves for a budget shortfall.
And let me clarify, that's general fund, not
or
the
general-
transportation fund.
Okay, general fund,
But again, I think, what we've done over the years is we've built up in that transportation fund some, because we've been working behind. We're a year behind usually when we get it finished. So we have enough money in there to do it all.
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident in that.
I mean, I'm not concerned about spending, the 25,000 so much as, we're now taking something and getting it done right away that needs to be done and stuff, but I just want to make sure we're not overextending ourselves.
I don't believe so. Now, I can't predict if there's a sinkhole that it suddenly
Exactly.
crops up on Market Street, and that's gonna, take a lot of work to do. That's gonna, that'll pull a lot out of reserves to get that
there'll be
fixed.
one
Right.
on Spruce Street at some point.
I had in mind a little piece of concrete that needs to be knocked out, not one that needs to be put back, but no.
At the top of the street, second house.
Any more conversation on that? So we need to move for approval?
Move approval.
Second.
Which one are
Yeah,
you?
well, we got separated out.
Lower bid, the bid with Jokers,
Yeah.
the paving, the
For the asphalt.
paving, the asphalt.
With Joker's Inc.
Jokers Inc., yes.
So Buck and Bob.
All in favor?
Aye.
Need approval of a low bid of CE Contracting, the amount of $66,355.40 for the Claymont Street concrete replacement project.
With all my questions answered, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Takes us to the first reading of bill number 4542, an ordinance amending the City of St. Genevieve Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 405 zoning and Chapter 605 business licensing as set forth below.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Takes us to the first reading of bill number 4543, an ordinance amending the City of St. Genevieve Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 405 zoning regulations, creating a tiny home overlay zone as set forth below.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Takes us to the first reading of bill number 4544, an ordinance of the City of St. Genevieve authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with CE Contracting for the Claymont Street concrete replacement project in the amount of $66,355.40.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion for a second reading?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Takes us to the second reading of bill number 4544, an ordinance of the City of St. Genevieve authorizing the mayor to enter into agreement with CE Contracting for the Claymont Street concrete replacement project, the amount of $66,355.40.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Alderwoman Armbruster. Yes. Alderman Prince.
Yes.
Alderman Rainey.
Yes.
Alderman Eidman.
Yes.
Alderman Jokers.
Yes.
Alderman Donovan.
Yes.
Alderwoman Johnson.
Yes.
Alderwoman Clegg-Harn.
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no's. Bill number 4544 now becomes ordinance 4464.
Thank you. Takes us to the first reading of Bill number 4545, an ordinance amending the City of St. Genevieve Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 405, zoning regulations as set forth below.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Takes us to the first reading of Bill number 4546, an ordinance of the City of St. Genevieve, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement between the City of St. Genevieve and the St. Genevieve Municipal Band.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Is there any other business?
Yes.
Yes, sir?
I have just a quick bit of business with regard to the concrete paving. And I didn't know where it would be appropriate. But I just would like to say, if we're spending a significant amount of money on concrete to pave whatever the street may be. I'm hoping that we see in future budgets, proposals from department heads or whatever it is, if we need tooling to maintain that, when it becomes our property on day 366 of that we need to take care of that. We need a concrete patches concrete, asphalt patches asphalt. I just want to make that comment out loud to the board, so.
Guess I understand your situation there, Mike. I mean, you know, concrete in the street is hard to patch unless you cut it out and do it right. And that's the type of patching I'd like to see.
Which we're not tooled for today, but we need to either outsource that or we need to get
Right.
tooled up for that. So,
Any other comments?
Well, I'd like to see more permanent streets put in rather than just overlay, that we rebuild them and get them to up to speed.
it's a big investment. We need to take care of the taxpayers' money when it comes to that. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Well, I'll adjourn this meeting. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good night. The order and approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Happy it's all you.
So our first item has been postponed until March 9th. Dave Van Leer sent me a text this morning saying he has the flu. So it's like, no, we don't want to see you. So I've contacted the neighbors, let them know not to worry about being here until next month. We'll talk about it on the 9th. So we'll put it on the next work session.
And that part of the conversation is just for that northwest area, what is, like around Gabbery and.
We'll do, there's 3 different areas. We'll do Northwest, the Shoe area, Park Drive, and International. So we'll have 3 areas to talk about
On March 9th.
on March 9th. Same as we'd have tonight.
Okay.
And then I know we have at least one person who was interested in one of the other sections we had approved,
And those have not been started yet.
not even started. Okay.
No. I mean, it's taken us this much time to get to those 3 to be done, and then those are the next 2. We actually have 3 more. So
Right.
the Washington Street area, and then the sinkhole, south side, or north side sinkhole, and then we're having Smith and Company do the south side sinkhole as they do that project on the subdivision on the Progress Parkway property.
Is it possible when we've got something that's going to have to be postponed to get that communicated ahead of time? Because I had talked to some neighbors and let them know we wouldn't be discussing the Washington Street area, but that there might be a bigger conversation, so they were
That was my
involved.
fault because I felt that I had communicated with who was going to be here, and then sending it out, you know, this morning, I didn't think anybody would need to know until tonight, so that's that's on me, because it's like, we'll talk about it in about 12 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah, so, yeah, I'll send it out.
okay, thank you.
I hope it isn't canceled again.
Yeah.
Happy, have you seen any of their preliminary work that they've done?
Yes.
Pretty detailed?
It's not overly detailed, but at this point, it's just giving kind of an overview of what's there. To show, they've done the calculations, we know what some of the remedies can be, and then we just have to decide what we're moving forward with.
And have they put this in a pretty much a plain map format so we can look at those issues, maybe street by street and neighborhood by neighborhood or something to?
So you'll have like, 11 by 17 maps, and then an explanation, or I'm sorry, not an explanation, but a description of what the improvements can be to relieve some of the problems. What we're gonna do is either project on the wall, put a screen up here, whatever. We're gonna have a screen, we'll have it projected up so they can point and then everybody can ask questions. And we can look at things specifically and not try to follow it on a piece of paper.
Right.
They'll have the piece of paper for reference afterwards.
Right, because I'm sure there'll be a lot of inquiries, I hope, for those.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So are those materials something you can send us ahead of time?
I would rather not.
Okay.
I'd rather that we all discuss it at the same time, see it together at the same time. We went through it just to look at it from a public works point of view, to have them make any adjustments, and we had some adjustments that we wanted them to do to them as well.
Okay.
So I would rather just do it all at once, and then you'll have that material in front of you.
So it's still kind of a work in process.
Yeah. Well, I think it was gonna be done for tonight, but I don't have anything that was updated that they were gonna pass out.
And then, so item number 1 pushes back to 3.9. Did you have 3.9 as the work session where we would talk about Stony Brook and the problem that we discussed earlier about private property drainage back there? And so this won't bump that. This will be in addition to that.
It's just more we'll have at my meeting, yeah, because I have a couple of things that were scheduled for that meeting.
Okay. Very good. Very good.
Yep. All right, item 2 is the Blain Street water tank. We had discussion with Mr. Beckerman. He requested an audience to talk about the water tank that sits on his property that is unused and it's beginning to deteriorate, and he would like to have it removed. We had talked about this internally, but the cost is nothing that we've budgeted for. So you're looking at, from what we've got now, on estimated costs of a couple of companies that have looked at it, it would be between $34,000 and $40,000 to remove it. The issue is that it is going to keep deteriorating, and to paint it would cost more probably.
Yeah.
So we're probably at a point that we need to consider removing the water tank. At this point, it's an unbudgeted item. If you want us to move forward with it, we can. Put it out for bids, bring the bids back, and then I think the price of scrap is up right now. That helps offset some of that cost. It has been down for a number of years prior to this, and it wasn't worth the cost of getting somebody in there.
So did we only get the one bid, or did we go to,
Actually we got two estimates. We haven't got bids in yet because I haven't put it out for bids, but we got 2 estimates on what it would cost.
but from the one that's doing the water tank on Breeze Hill?
No. See,
Yeah,
I don't think Steve got that one.
Yeah, that would be helpful, being you're gonna be up there taking 2 down.
Right. So in that case, I think, but we'll get the information to them on the
Right.
specifications on taking it down.
Did I misunderstand you, or did you say that's on his property?
It's on his property. We have an easement. That was in that
The water tank is
paperwork.
actually on his property?
Yeah.
That seems odd.
Yes. But I think, at that time, I shouldn't say, I don't know what the reasoning was behind that. It was the highest point, and if they were going to feed water to Mississippi Lime, that would be where you'd have to do it from, fill it there, and then you could create the pressure into the plant. But that's an easement, not city property.
That's unusual. That we would build a structure like that on somebody else's.
Is it what?
No, that's not unusual.
There's a small square that says
Oh, so it's a
St.
square?
Dave's
Oh, I'm
got
sorry.
it.
No, I'm wrong. I apologize. No, it is city property. I think.
Yeah.
I know we've,
It's 40 by 40 city property, but there's an easement across Mr. Beckerman's property to get to it.
Get to it, yeah.
Right,
There you go.
okay.
but supposedly it reverts back to, this is in a recorded statement that it reverts back to Mr. Beckerman because it's was a corner of his property. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't see that in writing, though. I know the easement does in some cases, but the property,
That was in that recorded statement that he had brought to
Yeah,
the group.
Either way, we need to deal with the water tank.
Yeah, I think it's a water tank, period.
So we don't need to be throwing good money after bad. We're not gonna use it.
Right.
There's probably been enough money spent on it over the years, it's not been in use. We need to stop the bleeding.
Hasn't been used in what, 20 years?
And we've painted it and upkeeped it and probably spent more money than we ever should have.
Well,
Yeah.
So it needs to go.
Liability it is, so.
Yeah.
So do we have any estimate as far as time as what, before this particular paint job really gets? I mean, since we haven't budgeted, could we push it back to the next budget year? And
If you wish.
I just like all the options.
Well, you made a point, though, to talk about scrap prices. Could we wag how much an offset that might be? How much do you think we'll get back on that? Hundreds
It's
or
I don't know if
thousands?
anybody
150 a
wants to- Yeah, I don't know if anybody wants to give us that estimate.
150 a
And we're
ton
gonna
right
put,
now.
if we're gonna try to get that one group to do it, they're probably gonna do it this year before October.
Right.
So we'd miss out on that potential.
Yeah, they gave them a them a They'll probably be the 90-day, ones- Public Water Supply gave them a 90-day extension, before they have to take it down. And that was due to the painting. They didn't want to paint it in bad weather, which meant they can't put the new tank online until it's painted and the old tank has to still be operational. But
And-
normally the demolition crew is the one that salvages it, don't they? I mean, that doesn't, once they take it down, that's,
And they'll probably take it they'll deal
so
with
we're
it.
not gonna see anything
So
from
the
the
scrap
scrap.
price doesn't affect that.
Well,
We won't, but it usually offsets the
Yeah.
cost. They kind of figure that into what it costs to take the tank down.
The Public Water Supply did their contract two ways. They did it with the tanks left there, they did it with the tanks being removed and them taking the scrap, and that reduced their contract for their new tank. But if we take it down, where are we gonna put it? Because we're not gonna be able to put it on his property. Yeah, well, there's a whole string of things up there that's gotta be worked out.
And all
To
those
understand the
factors
price
don't
differences, it might be worth asking
justify
that question.
expediting schedule, then if we needed to wait, we could wait. That's not enough.
We've gotta get permission to get equipment in there. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot
Yeah.
to be done there, so.
Okay. Okay.
So do we move forward?
It's coming down eventually.
Okay.
I'll say let's move
All
forward.
right,
Let's
so-
go.
Good. All right, we'll move forward with it. Sounds good. All right, personnel manual, employee benefit changes. Gave you a breakdown of what we had talked about. Sent the questions out to our employees as to what they were interested in. We talked about the 457 retirement plan. City offers that. We don't contribute. We just offer it out there, and we'll take the funds that people want to put into mutual funds. We'll take it out of their check. It's pre-taxed, so you get a little extra out of that. We were 50/50 with all the employees. With all the employees, there was no to jeans, tennis shoes during the week, business casual top, that kind of thing. We still do casual Friday with, jeans and t-shirts. But again, overall, with everybody voting no, if it was just City Hall employees, they voted yes. For the personal day, and the personal day is just kind of, I don't have it in there now because it was part of the explanation if we had moved forward with it, is that was a floating holiday that people could take during the year. But it was overwhelmingly voted down by employees, saying they want to keep the Good Friday holiday. Community benefit hours, we would pay while people worked, for a few hours of community service, no to that. And police department had their question of holding all of the holidays till the end of the year and pay the police officers. That was one way it doesn't really make any difference to payroll whether we would do that or not. It was just a way to save up for Christmas if you wanted to. But the police officer said no to that. So we won't be doing that. So the question is, the one thing we looked at is that we'll move forward with the vacation leave benefits. We want to add that week. I've given you what that breakdown is in the, what it would look like if we bring it to you in the personnel manual. So introductory to 2 years. When we say 3.33 hours, that's how it's broken down per pay period. So that ends up being 2 weeks. Then we go up to 3 weeks for 3 to 9 years, 4 weeks for 10 to 19 years, and 5 weeks for 20 years or more. So what you're doing is giving those that have some longevity, giving them a little something extra.
So then, Happy, once this goes into effect, that's when the accrual amounts will change, right?
Yep.
And that'll be the only change?
Right.
Thank you.
And I'm saying the other change would be the maximum amount that you get in a year. That was the other change I
Right.
made at the bottom. So I don't know what you want to do about the other items that we had on here.
So I appreciate getting some employee feedback on here, because like with the 457 plan, I would have had no idea which way to go with that. So it's helpful to figure out if we're wasting our time looking into programs like that or not. I do respect their vote on the personal holiday, the floating holiday, but I would like the board to consider continuing or moving forward with that. While Good Friday fits our current demographics of employees, I want to make sure that we're being inclusive in our future. And I know I've talked to a couple of you to kind of give some context there, and I don't want to hog the meeting. I know last time it was brought up why December 25th is a holiday, but that is designated as a federal holiday, so we have no potential conflict with granting that. But I do see us getting called on Good Friday in the future, and offering a floating holiday gives employees a way to still have that holiday if they choose to practice it. But I think it takes any pressure off of us. So.
I'm going to kind of add to that a little bit more. I mean, I kind of agree because of the liability issue, that could come up with it. And Happy, I think you're more than capable to decide on Good Friday if there's not enough people here to possibly make an announcement and close the door. I think we should, include it in this. We should reserve that option. There's times we have to protect the city and our jobs here, and there's times we have to protect the public. Nobody's brought this to our attention yet, but there's a possibility that it could. And who's going to catch the brunt of that is the city, not the employees. The city will be the ones that comes out in the media that we've done this. That's my concern. I mean, I'm not trying to, disrespect anybody or what it is. I think we have enough variables in there with a floating day that, if we want to close the door that day, that's your decision as a person responsible. But it just keeps us out of the liability, and there's plenty of people out there looking for ways to come after somebody for something. I'd rather be proactive than reactive, but that's just my opinion.
I don't see the downside to it. So I mean, I wouldn't support or disagree with the arguments that I've heard right now, but I don't see the downside to doing it. Gives the employee more flexibility. You can take Good Friday if you want, or you can take another holiday, different day.
Yeah, so the way we've got that, the way I've seen it before is it's, for the personal holiday, it's, give it 24 hours notice to your supervisor, and they'll say yay or nay. I mean, it's, we can make it where you can just take it off, but, at least give 24 hours notice so that, we have some, we know how to plan for the next day, or plan for that day. But it gives you some, as the employee, it gives you some flexibility of when you want to take it. So they're not losing a holiday. No day off.
Jason?
My question, and I think there was some confusion with the police department because it said, even on our survey, that we would get granted 8 hours of holiday pay, and I think that's what scared some of the patrolmen because typically they work a 12-hour shift. So will they get 12 hours of floating time?
If the board wants to do that, we can do that. Otherwise, we would just pay them if they want to, they would have to claim a holiday, or claim a day as a holiday, and we pay 8 hours.
What would they normally get for Good Friday?
8 hours. Don't they?
They would get 12, right?
Correct, our guys get paid at 12 hours.
I would
Okay,
say
well, that would be
whatever they get right now for a holiday would be the same.
Like for like.
Because,
yeah.
again, my goal here is not to take anything away
That
from
was their
anybody.
that was their biggest complaint is they thought they were losing that 4 hours that they would normally get now.
Okay, that helps me understand where some of the no's might have been coming from. Again, my intention with this is not to take anything away from anybody, so however we have to work that out is great. I just want to make sure that we're offering things in a way that are proactive for our future,
Politically correct.
well, it's not even getting down to that, our demographics here, Good Friday seems to fit that holiday well, but if we were to have employees that maybe observe Judaism or something else, can we tell them that they can't get paid for Yom Kippur if they wanted that day off instead of Good Friday? Just gives an option for them to take the day off at best practices for them, best suits them.
But we're not talking about now, we're talking about a year from now?
I'm fine with
Yeah.
moving this
Yeah.
in for 2024,
Right.
because I understand that employees might have already made plans for it, especially if they have kids and coincide with spring breaks. So I don't want to cause a lot of harm with this, but I do want us to be proactive in thinking about the future, so.
And we can write the ordinance where it states that. Because we wouldn't want to put we would do Good Friday, and then we would put personal day into effect starting January 1st. So,
Just flexible with it and whatever we need to do to accommodate everybody. And the police, that's a good point, Jason, that I never
Yeah.
thought about.
I don't want to take hours away.
No.
Just,
I think that was the biggest confusion with some of our guys.
that could be. That's my fault. All right, well, I'll bring that, and I'll bring the vacation to the next meeting. We'll have some changes there. All right. Last up, Healthcare Committee.
There was 3 members on there, not 2, yeah.
Buck and Jeff, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What were you on to?
Happy.
Well, I'll tell you what,
I'm trying to cut down on the amount of
You need a
people.
vacation.
Here we go.
we need a vacation, yeah. That's right.
You need that
Are we
floating
going?
holiday?
Maybe for tomorrow.
Not this
Not
year.
to Florida.
Not this
We're
year.
not going to
I'm going
Florida,
to
no.
Florida.
Staying recruited.
I am, but
You going to Florida?
So Alderman Jokers is vacating us,
Yeah.
abandoning us for retirement. So we need to have some other some other volunteer who wants to join us for the Healthcare Committee. And if Alderman Donovan and Alderman Eidman, who could have just not said anything, nobody would have known.
I knew Chuck.
Because we also have city employees that have left us as well that were on the committee, so we're going to reappoint those.
Right.
We'll do that internally, but I just didn't, if anybody wants to be a part of that.
Should we wait until after April, if we have new members or not? They may want to have a say in that.
The reason I would say no is that we probably need to start our discussions internally, because we won't see anything from Lakin until probably April, but we need to talk about a $300 cap. We need to talk about what the insurance plans that we're wanting to offer. If we wait till April, then with a June start date, we have 30 days to try to come up with something.
Gotcha.
And last year that really squeezed us. So I'm trying to be proactive. But a good question.
I'm overcommitted, and April's up in the air, so for me. But I'm comfortable with, if Bob and Jeff are remaining on the committee, I'm comfortable with them. And if anybody new in April wants to join, if nobody else here wants to, then
We can
I'm
do
fine
that.
with it.
I'm fine being on it.
Jeff,
To get off this, I'll be on something else. So.
Thank you very much.
Adjustment board.
all right, I'll set something up.
There you go.
Let me get out, folks. So I appreciate that. Very helps. I think that's it. Sure. How about
That is it,
Let me make sure. It's got just paperwork everywhere.
I'm good.
Yep, we're good.
Maybe you need to adjourn the meeting. If you want to.
All right, we're adjourned.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you.